For dinner, I'm going to make one of the easier and quicker recipes that I know, which is a simple chicken and rice. I love chicken and rice, and I love to stick tons and tons of vegetables in it, which is what you're seeing in front of you, really. So first things first, I have some plain long grain rice, about 1.5 cups of that soaking in warm water. I'm going to let that soak for 5 minutes, and then we'll actually start the rice process first, because that can take up to 30 minutes for that rice to cook. You can also see a number of different vegetables around you, but more important than that is the delicious chicken that I've taken out of the freezer here as of this morning. I've also got some cream of chicken soup. That's what I'm going to use basically as like my glue. It's my sauce. I have that along with a little bit of sour cream that's still up in the refrigerator. Then I have all the different vegetables that I'm going to use today. I've got some asparagus, and I've got a little bit of onion over here. I've also got some mushrooms and some delicious edamame. This is frozen edamame, but it's going to cook right up with our other vegetables and be super good. The only other thing I really need for this recipe is just some salt and some pepper. We are going to use 2 different frying pans today. Normally, you could actually do all of this in one frying pan. I'm going to use 2 because it just makes my life a little bit quicker. So I'll cook the rice separately, and I'll cook the chicken and the vegetables separately, and then mix them all together in a delicious, delicious dinner dish. So I'm going to go ahead and begin preparing all of my vegetables while my rice soaks, and I'll join you guys back in a moment when I've got everything ready to go. So here we come back to a preheated pan with a little bit of olive oil in it. And I've made sure to grab one of my cooking utensils because when I put the rice in here, this is pretty hot oil, but I really don't want to cook the rice. I just want to heat it and get it to be a little bit see-through and to get the grains to separate. So we're going to give this a go now and put our rice into our frying pan. And we need to stir because our goal, as I said, is not to cook or brown the rice. It's really just to get it heated up a little bit, and then we're going to add some water to it, of course. Another thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is actually add my onions to the rice, and then cook these up for just another minute or 2. I'd say it's been less than 5 minutes here, so not long at all, and you might even be able to see in the camera that I have another burner heating up because I'm going to move this frying pan to that back burner so that I can begin cooking my meat and my other vegetables. I'm crumbling up 1 cube of chicken bouillon into my rice, and that's just going to add some nice chickeny flavor to my rice, a little bit of saltiness. And then I'm going to add some water. Now this is the tricky part because I don't usually measure my water officially. I've got about 1/2 liter of water here. I think I might add just a little bit more because what you don't want also is undercooked rice. So here's about another 100 milliliters. It's like 1/2 cup or so. It's not too much more. There we go. So I added about 600 milliliters of water to my 1.5 cups of rice. All I'm going to do is wait for it to start bubbling. Once I can see some bubbles, then I'm going to move it to the back burner, and then I can start cooking my chicken and my asparagus and my mushrooms and my edamame. So we're beginning to get some simmering action, which means I'm going to go ahead and cover this nice big frying pan with a tight lid, and I'm going to move it to my back burner that's already heated. And that's going to continue to cook back there for probably the next 20 to 25 minutes. I don't want to take the lid off. I don't want to stir it because otherwise it's going to interrupt that rice's process of cooking. What I do want to do is preheat this nice big frying pan because he is going to hold my chicken, mushrooms, asparagus, and edamame. So my oil is preheating really well, and I have my pan on just under medium heat because the last thing I want to do is burn anything. And the rule with cooking vegetables and meats together is that you want to start with what's going to take the longest to cook. You don't want overdone chicken, you don't want mushy vegetables. So we're going to start with our chicken today. I got me some chicken here. And we're going to dump that on in there. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and put my asparagus in too, because that actually takes quite a while to cook properly. Now I still have mushrooms and frozen edamame, but believe it or not, those 2 things are not going to take that long. So I'm gonna let this sit here and cook for a little while, and I'll probably go ahead and sprinkle on some salt and pepper here real fast, as well as my chosen spice for the day, which is going to be rosemary. I think it's gonna be delicious. I'd say that my chicken is about halfway cooked now, maybe a little bit more, and so we're gonna go ahead and add our mushrooms next. They let out a lot of moisture, a lot of water, so I'm even gonna turn the temperature up a little bit to help evaporate some of the water that comes out of my mushrooms. Lots of stirring involved. Get them nice and mixed in there. And since I've got my heat a little bit higher, I will finally add the frozen edamame. So now we're just gonna sit and let this cook for a couple of minutes, 3, 4, 5, something like that, until some of our mushrooms have started to cook down and our edamame is defrosted. Good news, our meat and vegetable mixture is complete. The chicken is cooked, the edamame is defrosted, and the asparagus is al dente. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cream of chicken and sour cream to the vegetable mix right now. That's just gonna make sure it's heated up and ready for us to just dump the rice right in there. Now, normally in a can of cream of chicken soup situation, you would actually, to eat this, you would add a whole can of water to the cream of chicken soup. But since we're going to use it as a sauce today instead of a soup, I'm just going to dump it right in. All of it. And then very carefully stir that in. I'm also going to add a couple of spoonfuls of delicious, delicious sour cream. And let me tell you, sour cream and cream of anything soup is like a super secret, super simple, and delicious sauce for all sorts of different recipes. Now we do have to stir really carefully, and we can reduce the temperature of our frying pan. And you'll notice maybe in the video you can see there's a bunch of water that's still in the pan, and that's okay because that's just gonna make sure that our sauce is a really good consistency, that it's not too thick. And now all of a sudden, we are left with delicious chicken and vegetable goop. And we can actually just leave our frying pan on like a really low heat, just enough to keep it warm. And then just wait for our rice to be done, because once our rice is done, we'll mix both of these together, either in this frying pan if I think we have enough room in the rice frying pan, or I'll grab a big mixing bowl and mix it in there. Looks like we're gonna have a lot of chicken and rice tonight, because I have a very, very high chance of making a big mess, that I'm just gonna get out a big old mixing bowl and I'm gonna mix my rice and my delicious chicken and vegetable goo together in a big bowl. I'm gonna start by dumping my very hot, freshly cooked rice into that bowl, so I need to be very, very careful. And then once my rice is in the bowl, it's a matter of adding my chicken and vegetables, also hot and heavy. We must be very, very careful. As you can see, this recipe has made a lot of chicken and rice. You could very easily cut this in half and still feed probably 4 people. I just want lots and lots of delicious leftovers for the house. And then all we've got to do is stir. To serve this yummy rice dish, all that we need is a bowl and a big old spoon. And there we have chicken and rice.